I'm Montel from Triple M Enterprise, delighted to be joined by one of the stars of Netflix, Kai
Very
Peacock,
modest.
who is head of fitness for Matchroom.
Yeah, so the official title, Head of Fitness and Wellbeing at Matchroom across the sport, and closely aligned with Matchroom Boxing.
Perfect. So, before we get into the Matchroom side of things, I just want to find out more about you. We spoke off camera, but honestly, you're a very interesting person, to be fair.
Cool.
And we have a shared alignment with fitness.
Yeah.
So, have you always been an active person, or is it something that you kind of got into as you got older?
No, definitely. I mean, from a young age, always loved sport. For me, growing up, didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot going on, to be fair. So one of the things that we could do, which was free really, was go out and play sport. And from a young age, I always loved football. As I got into senior school, I got into rugby and other sports, but really football for me was always a passion, and running. Like, I was good at cross country from a young age. I could go out, I just had a set of lungs on me and I could just run. And to be fair, I enjoyed beating people. I just liked that edge of, even if we would do like a meet and it would be, certain meets, like you'd have the schools would all meet up and do a cross country. If I could finish top 10 or something like that, which I would do, it was just nice to beat other people. I had that competitive edge. And if I was good at something, because I wasn't good at loads of stuff, if I was good at something, I enjoyed it. And I think sport for me was, I always found it was a really good release and something I could sort of get away from everything else and just go and do. And that's something that I lean on strong now as an adult, and I think it's always stuck with me. And I think that's where my passion's been driven from, to be honest.
And how on earth did you get into CrossFit? Cross country running. How did you know
just
that?
Really, I think when I was young, I'll be honest, I'm 40 in November, so just, it was a different era then. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. My mum and dad split up when we was young. We moved to a new area, and literally I lived in a block of flats. Opposite the flats was a massive playing field. And the thing to do was really go out and you just play football till the street lights come on. We had a really big community of kids all in the same boat, and that's all you really had to do. We didn't have computers, we didn't stay in, we didn't have we weren't going out with our parents. A lot of our parents were working every hour under the sun to pay the bill, so it was you go out, you play football, a ball, some jumpers, goal posts. It would get competitive, it would get physical, but you was all mates at the end of the day. And anyone that knows me who might watch this, I grew up with, we loved our football. That's all we did. Yeah. And Champions League on ITV on a Wednesday, that you was lucky enough to get to watch that, and it was just, and World Cup competition, whatever, and we just loved playing football. And I think because I was just doing it all the time, I was just fit. I would just become fit. I wasn't a lazy kid. Yeah. So when I would go and run at school or run with my friends, we would just do crazy stuff really. On a Saturday morning where I used to live, we'd go, right, I'm going to run from Hutton and we're going to run all the way to Brentwood on a Saturday and come back. And me and my mates used to do that. We used to just do stuff like that. And then, once you got to school, I suppose PE teachers noticed that you was fit, and I just had the ability to run. And I suppose I had an appetite for it. And again, I loved the competitive edge. Once I realised, all right, I'm not too bad at this, I'd get involved. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
No, that is always a crazy story. Before we go any further, what team do you support? Because you mentioned football.
I'm a West Ham fan. It's not an easy journey. To be fair, when I was younger, I was a little bit mixed up about what team I supported, etc. And then one of my good friends growing up, his dad is a big West Ham fan, and all of the friends in our friendship group was had to be West Ham. Yeah. And really that was the first club, which was a family club for me. All my friends supported West Ham. I started going to Upton Park and just aligned with the fan base really, and the type of people that they were just really welcoming and just working class background really. And it just sort of signified where I lived and where I grew up.
All right, fair enough. I'm not going to make any comments. And that's
who do you support?
Arsenal. So I was going
to... Hey, listen, Arsenal fans are loving life at the minute. It's but we've got that rivalry, I think, because of Declan Rice and stuff now. But yeah, it's all fun.
No, of course. And let's get into the career path. Obviously you are at Matchroom now, but how did it start from where you began?
So I got into fitness when I left school at an early age, and to be fair, the scene was completely different then. You didn't have social media. You had your local gym, and you sort of have to just find clients from there. To be honest, it was a bit slow. I come out of it, I did some other bits and pieces, but I always trained. I always had a huge appetite for knowledge in fitness. And then I can't remember what age I was, maybe 25, 26. I was like, right, I'm going to go back. And I went back into fitness, and it was booming at the time. Gyms were opening up, especially in London and Essex, where I live. And I went back into the gym, started personal training, and quickly just held a high standard for myself. And I think that resonated with clients. It was, it takes time to build a client base, but I was lucky enough and fortunate enough, and I think I was at the age where I'd matured and been through some stuff where I could articulate myself from client to client. And I think that's really important. If you're a personal trainer, you've got to be able to identify with different people from all walks of life. It's very easy just to sort of give time to the people that like yourself, but you've got to be able to articulate yourself if you're working with a high-end professional, right through to just a mum that just wants to get fit. A guy might be in construction. I knew what that felt like because I'd done them sort of jobs. So yeah, I did well, and I stayed very, very busy, and it was something I really enjoyed. I enjoyed people, and I enjoyed helping people, and it's, it went really well for me. Hence where I've ended up today, really. I just ended up acquiring better quality of client, how to take care of them clients, very good retention rate in terms of loyalty from clients. And then I was given the opportunity around 2016, 17 to work with a young boxer by the name of Conor Ben. Worked with Conor Ben for a couple of years, worked alongside Tony Sims a little bit in Tony Sims's gym. Was lucky enough for him to trust me with a few of his athletes, Joe Cordina in the early days. Did a little bit with the others, but not really anything. They were the main two guys that I sort of was set in stone. I was around the gym at that time of like Ted Cheeseman, Martin Ward. I mean, AJ used to be in and out of that gym a little bit then. Never really worked with him, but I would witness what he would do. Felix Cash, guys like that. And it was a really, that was the Sky era, really good era. Tony Sims, had an unbelievable gym. And that's how I got to meet Eddie Hearn. So he'd seen me work with Conor, reached out to me one day and said, do you want to do some bits and pieces? And that's really where it grew, and then manifested into the job that it is today.
That is a crazy story. But just going back before we get forward, going back to obviously you being a personal trainer, those days there, what was that like for you? What were some of the challenges you experienced as a personal trainer?
Well, for me at the time, I'll be totally honest, I went through like a massive transition. It sounds crazy, but I was dating a girl for a long time. We was together for like 6 years. I was working in the city, actually in construction. And it was at that time I started to get a little bit unhappy, and I was loving fitness separate to my work. So I was learning, reading, looking online a lot at the time, trying to get as much information as I could, and I still had this passion for sport. So I'd give all that up, the work that I was doing, and I went to the gym. And I threw myself into it. To be honest, I closed myself off from a lot of my friends, and I was in the gym from 6 a.m. in the morning, anyone that knows me, and I would leave at 9 o'clock at night, and I was in there 7 days a week. And there was a room in the gym that I used to work in. It was like a broom cupboard, and I said to the guy that owned the gym, Absolute Gym, I said, he had it as a broom cupboard, I said, can I rent that off you and I'll turn it into an office? And it was literally like a shoebox. It was like good enough for putting mops and stuff, but I managed to get a little desk that I bought from IKEA, a chair in there, I put some posters up, etc., etc. And I would go in the morning and then sleep on the floor in a sleeping bag, headphones on while people were working out, get up, get another client, and just build a rapport with people. And I was just in there hustling like every day. I had nothing else to do, no responsibility, no family. I'll be in there 7 days a week. And being on the gym floor, I'd help guys out that were training in there. I trained 2-3 times a day myself at the time. And just learning as well. Like at the time I was studying, I was reading loads of books. I'd done a few courses, strength and conditioning courses, other bits and pieces to further my knowledge. I was really into the Charles Poliquin stuff, which was great in my education, and just sort of really threw myself into it. I was about 26, 27 at the time, and I realised you're becoming nearly 30.
Yeah.
I just threw myself into it, completely threw myself into it. And I think that many hours on the gym floor, which I developed at one point, I was very, very busy. Like I was saying, in the gym all the time, working with such a different client base. You know, I would train, like, it was funny in my old gym, you'd have the mornings, you would have the real focused high-end professionals at like 6 a.m. till sort of like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then them guys got to go to work, but they get it done early. Then from sort of 8 till like 10, 11, it was like the mums, they dropped the kids off, or the guys that owned a business but worked online or a bit more relaxed. Then sort of from like 12 till midday, you'd have a different type of client, shall we say, that might do little bits and pieces to keep themselves busy. Then you might have a little bit of a gap, and then sort of 4 or 5 o'clock, you get the guys from construction, 6 and after. Again, you're talking your high-end professionals out of the city, commuting and out, and they want to work. And I just, you know, working with so many different people, although they're from the same area, you just learn to sort of, you know, build your skill set, working with a different range of people, different demographic, different backgrounds, different ages. Not one shoe fits all. Like, you know, you have to learn to problem solve all the time around different people's needs, wants, expectations, managing that, and how to build programs to really get the best results. And I think being so adaptable, being on the gym floor so many hours made me so adaptable to that. I would literally go hour back to back. I go from one client, bang, next client, bang, next client, bang, next client, and their programs would look so different. I would be making sure that everyone was tailored to as best as I could. And I think really, alongside sort of studying and stuff, I think that's what kept me busy. Yeah. And kept people coming back, coming in the door, and just built that reputation. And I think obviously once I started working with the athletes, that really propelled me to the next level, because one, it gave me a bit of recognition from people that knew me in the area and what I was doing and beyond in terms of social media. But two, it gave me a newfound confidence as well, because operating at that level really shows you like you're here as well, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was cool. It was a brilliant time. What's
your opinion on the personal training fitness scene now? Because my opinion honestly is that there's loads of personal trainers out there and I love to see it, but I do feel like the angle's now more about just the marketing as opposed to what's being delivered on the shop floor. But what's your opinion on it?
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, like I just said there, I earned my trade. I earned my trade, almost like an apprenticeship. Like, I think now, guys, no disrespect to anyone, because everyone out there trying to earn money, but it's very easy now to go and do a accredited course, or not for some guys, be in shape at a young 19, 20-year-old, get into shape however you achieve that, look, aesthetically or performance-based, and then go online and preach whatever it is, what narrative you want to sell, and get clients, onboard clients. And in reality, like I just said there, you've never really dealt with problems. I mean, everyone can write a program on a piece of paper. Listen, we can go on these AIs, softwares, and say, write me a program, bang, it will come. But it doesn't really work like that, because you've got to be personable to the client. You've got to know where their skill set is, what their expectations are, their stress levels, what they deal, when I say stress levels, what they deal on a day-to-day basis with. You know, if you're a professional and you've got a family and you've got young children or older children, or you've got problems at home, or you're unconfident, or you can't manage certain movements, or you're unconfident doing certain movements, or you thrive in a certain style of training but don't with another, or you're an emotional eater, or you're someone who undereats, so say, you're never going to learn that, you know, how to get around in problems unless you've dealt with all of them different aspects. And it's the same when people are injured. When someone's injured or limited, unless you've worked with an individual like that, it's very hard to then prescribe a program that fits, you know what I mean? And just like any job, you know, you do an apprenticeship. Back when I was younger, apprenticeship was like 5-6 years, you know, to learn to be a plumber or an electrician, and there's a good reason for that, you know what I mean? So you could be the best standard professional. It's the same as anyone in sport, you know, you don't become a great sportsman overnight, it takes time, and I think personal training is lacking that a little bit at the minute. If I'm honest, there's a lot of guys that come through, get in tremendous shape, and then bang, they become successful online. And it's the same online, you see a lot of guys just spinning narrative, but there's not much substance when you really strip it back.
Yeah, it's just doing the research, actually doing the due diligence and the time it takes to actually get something out of it and
like,
show people.
Like you said, it's more of a marketing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to market yourself online and appear to be whatever it is you want to be. And I think a lot of people can get sucked into that. And like the fitness industry now, like you just said, is completely different. I think it's very difficult to be on the gym floor, and I'm very lucky that the opportunity come with Matchroom to come off of the gym floor, because as much as I, earn good money, managed to support my family, live a good life doing it, I'm grateful for all of the clients that I trained at the time that, kept me employed, and the gym that I worked at were very supportive. I was under no illusion that getting closer to the back end of my 30s, going into 40, that this is not forever. Yeah. And the scene had changed. Social media had changed people's expectations and realistic sort of understanding of maybe what they could achieve going forward. And I think that's something that's been diluted as well, like change, how long change takes, how long consistency takes to really build, how long it takes to change habits. People seem to be, they're just going to get it straight away because that's the narrative that they're sold all the time. But reality is, like, life throws you curveballs all the time, and life sometimes gets in the way of a desired routine or something that you're after. And it's being able to navigate around that. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of the people online, they're not selling that.
No, of course.
Their life, they're like single guys. They've got no family. They've got, they're quite selfish at nature, so they put everything first. And that's cool. Like, some of the best athletes in the world have to be selfish to be what they want. But it's all right if you don't want to be like that either. If you want to make time for others and friends and family, and you want to enjoy things, you can and still be fit and a healthy individual. You don't have to be right over there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's a different space at the moment. And I've noticed as well with personal training now, people are now trying to sell this like high performer. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I only work with like 8 high performance individuals. Like, get at me if you're like, you earn 500k a year and you want to be like, that's who I deal with. And then you look at the guy and they're like 19, and I'm like, well, how are you going to help like a 40, 50-year-old man with 3 kids who runs a multi-million dollar empire? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's a funny space, but that's social media now, isn't it?
And times change. Yeah. And getting into change, obviously, then you started working with performance athletes. So how did that transition come about? I know you mentioned sort of working with Conor Ben, but how did that even?
Yeah, so I'd recently over the years been doing a lot of different qualifications, worked with a few sort of sports individuals, etc. And then, believe it or not, Tony Sims' son, come to me, and he was like, he knew about me, knew people that I'd worked with and other professional athletes, etc. And he just said, look, I've got this opportunity. To be honest, I didn't know much about who it was. And then he said it was Conor. I remember the first meeting, going to meet Conor and Nigel, like, what a legend, both fantastic people. And we did like a introductory session. Nigel come and watched, and he was like super impressed, and he was like, yeah, this is cool, this is what Conor needs. And at the time, I think that was what Conor needed. We worked together, and it was great. And Conor, like, is a great athlete, like, regardless of boxer or whatever, you know what I mean, like, you want to say about wherever he's in his boxing career, the boy is an absolute unbelievable athlete. Like, you say to him, jumps how high, he's so competitive and so holds such high standards for himself. He will jump as high as possible. He will give you 120% every time, and there's never an excuse. So for me, working with him, it was bliss, because he was just so hungry for it. And you can see that now, like who he works when he works with, like Dan Lawrence, etc. Like, Dan will mostly tell you, he's such a great professional. So I loved working with him. And Joe Cordina was exactly the same. Joe Cordina was, again, a very talented athlete, great coordination, great understanding of movement, very strong, balanced, great amateur, been boxing all his life. He was just a great individual to work with. So I was really lucky, because like, when you're a coach, like any coach, when you're working with athletes that give 110% and are athletically blessed, it makes you look great.
Oh, of course.
And I'm not going to say, do you know what I mean? I can't sit here and say, oh, they gain more power. You're there to give them that extra, yeah. But these guys are special in where they are for a reason, because they have so many athletic attributes. And I think, again, like touching on that, what we were saying before, in the Instagram world, is like, listen, there's some unbelievable coaches out there, but sometimes if you're aligned with the right athlete, it can make you look super hot. Do you know what I mean? But it's like these guys are unbelievable athletes for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because they're blessed with, you know, great coordination, great sometimes power, strength, speed. But ultimately, to be a top athlete, it's the mindset.
Yeah.
These guys turn up at the gym. They've already done pads, sparring in the gym, been for a run in the morning, and then they're coming to see you last thing in the day or wherever it is, and they still give 110%. And that's like, you know, you don't get that from a lot of the times from your paying clients who are like your everyday guys who've been at work a bit, you got to G them up a little bit. Like, these guys come in, they're G'ing you up. You know, you're getting hype on their sessions, and you can see that. So yeah, fantastic to work with them guys. I love that period. Me and Connor parted ways in the end. No bad blood, no bad love, but I just found out that I was going to have my first son, so it's like 7 years ago, my firstborn, Jude, and we was travelling a lot, etc. And in the end, Connor ended up working with Dan, who is an unbelievable fit for him, because Danny's one of the best in the game. So yeah, cool.
And when he was in that period, actually, when he was working with Conor Ben, did you have to then stop working with your everyday clients?
No, so for me it was a little bit different because, like you say, it was a new era for me, really, because I'd gone from working with, like, my bread and butter was just my normal clients. So I was juggling, to be fair, and fitting around Conor's schedule at the time. Like, when I look back, we could have refined it a little bit better, but he was a bit raw. You know, he was young in the game, and I would sort of fit him in where we could, but, you know, his schedule would change a lot, and trying to manage everything that he was doing, you know, like I just said, you know, track in the morning, which he would do with Tony and stuff, because I wouldn't really be able to go because I'd have my other clients. Then he would be at the gym. Sometimes I'd go down there for sparring if I could. I'd sort of just sit, oversee, try and help him warm up, warm down, offer anything that I could, and then we'd do an S&C session, sometimes there or sometimes at the gym I used. And me and Connor were great. Like, I would be available as much as I could for him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I was still working with him when my son was born for a little bit, and when I got married, it weren't when my son got born. He come to my wedding in Italy. Him and Victoria come out, which was really special, and he was actually in camp at the time. So like, I'm out having a drink, and you just see Connor running past. But like, it just goes to show how dedicated he is, and it was lovely for him to be there and experience the wedding. But yeah, it was a bit of a task at the time to juggle, because I wasn't, and Connor wasn't in the position then to go, here's a load of cash, just come with me. Like, you're with me every day, and I'm just gonna, you're cool, I've got you. Like, he weren't in that position, and I wasn't in that position in terms of being able to give him all of that time. But at the same time, it worked at that time. It worked really cool.
Yeah, and then obviously when you went on to Eddie Hearn reaching out, what was it like, obviously saying to your clients, all right, this is the end? How hard was that?
Yeah, I mean, like, that took a little bit of time, because me and Eddie worked together, to be honest, for like, I think it was like on and off, maybe from that 2017-18 right up to the current day. Obviously, I come on to Matchroom, was it last year, February, I think.
Yeah. Only last year?
No, that's a lie. The year before, yeah, that's a lie. It'd be 2 years this February. Yeah, 2 years. Sorry. So Eddie, to be honest, always had this idea from an early time, speaking to him. And like, when I first started working with him, he was like going out to America with AJ. AJ just thought Klitschko, like, AJ was like on the up. Yeah. Exciting times for Matchroom. They went to New York. I actually did last time I worked with Connor was the fight he fought on the undercard of Danny Jacobs on Long Island. So I went out with Connor, and that was a really cool experience. And obviously I knew Eddie around that time, and we started working together. So I worked with him for ages. I knew Frank Smith from the area. I knew him through, like, he was friends with people that I knew. So we knew each other. And I was working with Eddie on and off. Eddie put on a lot of weight at the start, so we helped him lose it. Then he lost a bit of weight, and then I remember like COVID happened, so like everything went completely different for a good couple of years. You know, I didn't see him, we didn't really do much, and then after COVID, it might have been a year or so after, I think he'd lost too much weight, and I think Dylan White said to him, from what Eddie said to me, he's like, you need to bulk up, sort of thing. So he come to me and said, right, let's train. So we picked it up, and again, testament to Eddie, like, one day I would see him on Instagram, he'd be in New York, but I'm thinking I've got him penciled in for a session tomorrow morning. Literally, he'd turn up with a suitcase and his suit on his back and do a session, and the next day I would see him in some other country. Like, the work rate's just insane.
Yeah.
We did that for a little while, and then he had a good little stint at home, I think. He bulked up, he got into shape, and I think Men's Health caught wind of it. So then he reached out and was like, listen, Men's Health want to do this thing, do you want to help me with the journey? There was a couple other guys involved from Men's Health, and it was part of the deal, and it was good. Their influence was really positive, and we just went at it, really. And that period was crazy, because Eddie was same thing. Like, he would pull up in a black cab, get out, come in the gym, next minute I'd see he'd be in New York. Like, people obviously inside boxing know how hard he works, and the documentary is great, but I don't even think it really gives you how crazy that man's schedule is, and like how he makes time to train. And I think that's where he spawned the idea from, because through that process he realised what a positive impact it had on him, and he was really conscious of being fitter, stopping drinking, and what it would give him. If it gave him that extra 1% to be more productive, more on the ball, more focused, you know, feel good, feel confident, keep him going. And he wanted that for Matchroom, and he wanted that for his staff, which I think is an amazing vision, because, you know, there's not many people that run companies that actually think, right, how can we improve the workforce and give back in a sense? And that's where he said to me, look, do you want to come on and look after the staff at Matchroom, which I think is around like 60 people at full capacity in the office. But if you've watched the Matchroom documentary, you'll see it's broken up into different businesses. So you'll have darts department, snooker, multi-sport, which Emily Fraser heads. Then you've got boxing, we've got an accounts department, a TV department, and then a few admin in between. So yeah, Eddie's idea was a great idea, and it's been a massive success. And again, I think it's something I know some businesses are doing, but I definitely think over the next decade you'll see more businesses doing it. Yeah, because it's great for one is, you know, people want to go to the office. You know, we've had this culture through COVID where people don't want to go to the office, they want to work from home, sit at home on the laptop, maybe hide away. Not saying they're not doing their job, but there's no community at work anymore. Yeah. Whereas what we found, we run 4 classes a week when I'm in for the week. It's only an hour class. You know, we do like a strength and conditioning class, and then we do something which bit more body weight, bit more inclusive for abilities. It's give a sense of a community. So you'll have departments that might not really see each other, because that's just the nature of how busy everyone is doing their own thing. And then they get to merge, they get to meet each other, they get to sort of vibe off of other people's success. We've had some great success stories in the business with, you know, just normal people in terms of their fitness, their performance, aesthetically, and even eating habits, how they look and feel. And I think people can just resonate with a work colleague. It's like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. Do you know what I mean? And that has happened, and it's had a really positive knock on, especially for people a little bit older at work that maybe didn't have the confidence to go to the gym, maybe didn't have the time to go to the gym, especially the people that maybe got families. They can do that in their workplace, and they can do it in a safe space where it may be not as daunting as going to a big gym or a big corporate gym, or spending money and driving down to the gym and on a gym membership which they're not quite sure about. You know, they can go to work, they can train, they can learn about fitness, well-being, what it is, how to move properly, how to push themselves in a safe space, and be supported by colleagues, and in the same time build a bit of camaraderie. You know what I mean? It's been very successful in that way. And I think one of the great things is when you've got someone like Eddie in the office and others in director positions or positions a little hierarchy, if you're working under them and you see them doing it, it's a massive positive because it inspires you to do it, because you know how busy they are. They're like, well, if they've got time, I can take my time.
Yeah.
And it is like, it's also a bit of recognition. You see it with like when Eddie's in the office and he's training, like there's people that most probably wouldn't train, but they want to train because they want to be seen to be fit and sort of getting on that journey as well. So in that sense, it's been really successful.
Have you seen any, or have you held any workplace competitions? Because it does sound quite
No, we haven't really. Like at one point I used to give out like star trainer and stuff, but to be fair, in the end, like that caused a little bit more controversy because I think people thought I had favourites. But there is a few people that come to my classes regularly that are absolute beasts. You know what I mean? That maybe from the outside perspective, like never judge a book by the cover. But you might not think, oh, they're really fit, and then you get them in a class, and it, like some of the guys, you know, they might come from boxing or over, and then there's a few women that we've got there, and they are machines. They're relentless, like mindset, like they don't stop. If I ask for more, they give me even more.
Yeah.
And like, but again, it's amazing to see. Do you know what I mean? But they earn the right to be star trainer and stuff. But I sort of knocked that on the head, really. But no, it's a really successful program in that sense. Yeah. Definitely, 100%. And then we did obviously bits in terms of getting a nutritional partner in with prep food, which was really good because that helped healthy eating in the office. Not only that, it's really productive in terms of if you're at work and you forgot your lunch because you got up late, kids are up, you got up late, you've been out, you had a drink, or you're just crazy life with your kids, getting them ready, and you've got to go down to Tesco's. You've got to drive to Tesco's, you've got to take that time out, your break, drive down there, park up, go in, come out of a meal deal, or something worse, or order delivery in, which is expensive. Now you can come off your desk, go straight down, grab a healthy meal, put it in the oven for 30 minutes, or microwave it for 3 minutes, high protein, low sugar, and it's just quick and it saves time. And again, it leads to better productivity at work because people haven't got to faff around, you know, and make poor choices. So that's been really successful as well because not only are people training at work, they've got the space to recover at work, which I'll talk about in a minute. They've also got space to obviously eat well and train well. So it's really successful. And there's been some really, really good success stories in terms of like weight management and just performance. The amount of women at work, especially girls in accounts, etc., that might not be confident, I don't know, with their grandchildren, lifting them up, playing with them, taking them up the stairs, might be taking the shopping from the car. One person referenced to me, they always get deliveries quite heavy of a certain product into the house, and they would ask their son or something, their older son, to come and do it. They said to me, you know, I can do that now. Or I feel confident with my grandchild. You know, I've got 2 grandchildren. When I'm in the park, I pick them both up. Before, like, I couldn't do that. And they're like, it feels great. Do you know what I mean? Or it's gave them the confidence to enter a local park run or go and do something else, some other sporting activity which they might not have done for years. There's a few girls there that play netball. They say their performance has got better with netball. So it's like, it's great to see. It's not all about aesthetics, you know. That's a great perk, but in terms of like longevity and the function and quality of life, like that's been a huge success. Massively. And it gets people in the office. People want to come to work because they think if I go to work, I'm going to train. I'm going to feel good. They have 2 or 3 days out of the office. It's when people go on events, they always come back and they're like, oh, I've missed it because routine exists there. So they want to come in, which like for a business, if you've got a community-based business where you want people to be thriving and talking to each other and engaging to make that business the best it can be, there's no better opportunity than getting people together to train together, sort of give it all their all together and want to go into the office, you know, to enjoy that perk. So yeah, I mean, Eddie is always really future thinking with stuff, but that is massive. I think it will be massive over the next decade.
Sounds like it has been massive, to be fair, and obviously you're a key head of that whole organisation. But you mentioned recovery, and I think that's equally important because training is very important and eating healthy as well, but recovery is equally important. It sounds like that's something that I know you've done some work on behind the scenes. So
so like Eddie again is one of those guys that really leveraged that. I mean, he's massive into his recovery. Like he loves his cold water submersion, like ice baths and stuff. He loves that for many reasons really. One is he feels it builds that resilience. Then you go into the water, you've got to sort of withstand the temptation to get out and be resilient, build grit. But he also, it's time away, isn't it? Like these days, especially if you're someone who's very, very busy, like most of our guys are, I was just saying off camera, certain individuals are like, they're just doing 100 things at once. When you go into that water, you're not on your phone. Like you're with your thoughts. It might be a couple of minutes, but do you know what? That couple of minutes to reset is so important. And for some people, it's so beneficial for a bit of clarity of mind, because they're always thinking about the next task, the next thing, and they just compound. And it takes its toll. So if you can reset and do that. So we have ice bath at work, which people use. In the summer last year, it was fantastic. We moved it inside. People still using it, but it was brilliant outside last summer. And again, it's something people can do. They become recovery. We've got a really good Cell 8, give us an infrared bed, which is great, you know, in terms of recovery, collagen, skin regeneration, in terms of just feel good factor as well, especially when the days get shorter. You go in there, it gives you a real kick. We have the pool there, we have the sauna there. You know, we have a recovery area where people can stretch. You know, we have certain tools that they can use, foam roller, massage guns, etc. So it's like, that's all there as well. So it's not just about high intensity classes or the access to me one-on-one personal training to build strength or whatever your goal is. You've also got the ability to recover if you want. You can go down to the spa area and really unwind. And again, what perks we have. And Matchroom office is a beautiful building as well. So when you're in that pool area, beautiful setting, you see the skyline of Canary Wharf and London, beautiful green. It's you know, people pay good money for a spa like that. So if you've got it at the office, it's a brilliant opportunity. And like you say, these days recovery is a bit of a topic which is again thrown around for a bit of clickbait. Like some of it's a bit clickbaity. But the big thing that's most really underestimated the most is it's just a good night's sleep. Like if you can just do your best to go home, obviously it depends if you've got children or not and what stage they are in terms of, you know, if they're infant or older, etc. But if your kids, you can get them into bed and you can get into bed early, turn your phone off, turn the television off, scrap that extra Netflix series or episode, just unwind, get into bed and get 8 to 9 hours sleep, or aim for that at least, and do things around supporting that sleep. That's a game changer. And I think that's the most underrated tool, sleep. And it doesn't cost anything. It literally just costs you a little bit of time and a bit of discipline to say, right, I'm going to get in bed. And that is one thing today with phones and so much access to things on demand on television that people really fall short on. Because it's so easy to feel like, oh, everyone's watching this series. It might be a Matchroom Netflix series. Hopefully. But people just want to binge, don't they? People just want to binge because your friends have watched it so quick. Gone are the days where everyone would watch it 1 week, then the next week together. It's like you can just watch all 6 or all 10. And people just get caught up in that, I think, and don't prioritise sleep enough. I mean, you see it all the time. People say, I'm tired. And it's like, okay, what time did you go to bed? How late did you eat? Like, what did you drink? Did you have caffeine after sort of midday? These are the sort of things, you know, small adjustments that can really help. And again, that's something that Eddie battles with a lot because he travels time zone to time zone. And to be fair, it's something that's not been a battle, but has been work. And it's something now he's really starting to master, you know, using technology, you know, wearables, things like Whoop, Garmin, etc. Monitoring sleep, monitoring recovery for Eddie has been a game changer. Looking at his recovery, looking at habits, how to support them good habits, especially when going time zone to time zone. And to be fair, he does a pretty good job of it now. And it's been a game changer for him because if you get a good night's sleep, chances are tomorrow you're going to wake up, you're going to feel good for the gym. You're going to feel ready to tackle the day. When you don't have a good night's sleep, learning to say, or you are a bit beaten up, you have had a rough day, you did slip a little bit, having the confidence to say, actually, I don't need to train today. I need to get back to my best for the next day. That's what consistency really looks like. It's not just hammering the nail every day for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? It's learning to go, right, today is a good day, I'm going to make the most of it. Tomorrow, it might not be the perfect day, but I can do this. The next day, do you know what? I might need to just hold fire, just go for a walk, get out in the sun, eat well, get a really good night's sleep in, set myself up for a massive day the next day. Like, you're not on a deadline if you're just on the wellness fitness journey. You're not a fighter that's got to make weight. You're on a long path to longevity. And I think that's, again, going back to social media, where people get a bit lost.
Yeah.
Because they see these guys hammering, what's usually supported by a goal or a target, which is quite short. Whereas in reality, like most of us, that's life, you know, you just got to build through and just build that consistency. I always like consistency, like if you've got 5 cups in a row or 10 cups in a row, they're not all full up, yeah? One's going to be there, one's going to be like a little shot, one's going to be halfway, one's going to be full up again, another one's going to be full up. But that's how consistency looks. There's no empty glasses. Do you know what I mean? It's just a little bit like that. So, and I think people undervalue that as well when it comes to recovery. Recovery sometimes is learning to say no as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To your plan. Yeah. All plans are like I went right back. It's like when trainers are sending out a plan, but all plans should be adaptable. All plans should be adaptable. Yeah.
And how are you finding it on your side? Because obviously, I know we're talking a lot about the staff that you look after, but what about you, your actual own training, your recovery? Because obviously, you do a lot as one person. So
yeah, I mean, my training is a little bit different these days. Again, like I sort of, you know, I've tried all different facets and different styles of training. At the moment, I just really aim for 4 strength sessions a week. I stick to the compound movements. I think like simple is effective. You don't really need to delve into anything, in my opinion, too complicated, unless there's a why attached to that, or a need, or a specific sport, or a specific movement generally. I think obviously we should try to move in all planes of motion to stay healthy, lift, carry, etc., jump, move, and I just enjoy a run. I've always enjoyed running, like we tapped on at the beginning. I've always enjoyed running. I find it peaceful. I don't wear headphones. I like to just listen to my own thoughts. Ooh. I've run half marathons without headphones. I like going out, no thoughts, no phone, being completely detached. And I like that. Eddie loves running, and I think one of the reasons he loves running, I've said this to him, is because he's away from his phone. Yeah. A man that's in such demand, he can just go and run, and he can process thoughts and go out and just reset. You know, it's very rare that he gets that time, and I see that with a lot high-end professionals. The same thing is Ross Garrity that we spoke about, you know, CFO, like same thing. He likes to go for a run. We run together all the time. He's one of my running buddies, if you like. You know, we go out, we go run, we do a 10k the other day, but it's brilliant because we're both disconnected off the phone. We have a chat when we have a run. Yeah. We talk about family, we talk about bits and pieces, whatever it is, and it's nice. It's a nice space, you know what I mean? And that's what running gives you. So for me, yeah, just 4 strength sessions a week I try to adhere to, a couple of runs, I'll mix it up. I usually do like one sort of slow run where I'm not pushing it too hard, but I like to do a bit of distance, maybe 10 or plus kilometers. And then I like to try and get another run in, and I'll format that run depending. I'll work at different thresholds, different paces, a bit more high intensity, might be intervals, bit of fartlek, whatever that is, waver the load in terms of how fast I'm running, etc., and just try to mix it up really. But at the moment, I'm not running for any goal. Yeah. So I'm not too dialed in, and it's the same with nutrition. I eat as healthy as I can, but I'm not going to lie, I'm not sitting there weighing my food. I'm not eating chicken, rice and broccoli, etc. But there's times when I'll really tighten it up if I'm going away, if I feel like I need to, and I understand how to. I don't eat like a slob, but if I want to enjoy something, the next day, that's where, you know, you don't find balance. You have to create it, and again, that goes back to my point on consistency. Is learning to go, right, that day I'm going to have that meal and I'm going to celebrate with my friends or my family, whatever that occasion is. But for the next couple of days, I'm not going to punish myself, but I'm going to strip back in certain areas, or I'm going to do a little bit more. That's how balance looks. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can still enjoy certain foods. You haven't got to eradicate everything, but it's understanding how to implement that But again, it depends on the goal. If you want to be 4% body fat, you can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to be a certain weight to make for a fight, or you want to be, but that's the difference between real athletes. And I know athlete gets thrown around with everyday people, because everyone is an athlete genuinely, but goal orientated is different. Like if you want to tighten up for a holiday, you've got to knuckle in. You've got to look at your food. You have to. But again, it depends on your goal. It all depends on your goal. And I think, I've learned is not to put too much pressure on yourself. I think you've got to enjoy it. I think with pressure, it takes the fun out of it.
Yeah.
I think when you're training, even for yourself, like the time you mostly enjoyed the training the most, yes, you was focused and you dial in, and it starts to breed a good habit, but it's because you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think once you start stressing about certain elements, the fun that you do lose the joy from it. Because it should be a release. It should be something that fills the pocket of your day outside of stress.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be something you're stressing about all day, then you get to the event and then stress about the result all the time. Because that's where usually people sort of crash and burn. Do you know what I mean? Because they're always like, oh, I haven't dropped another 2, I didn't lift that, I'm not getting stronger. It's like, you just got to enjoy the journey and just let it unfold. You have to adhere to certain principles. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. And if you really want to step it up, obviously you've got to really focus it in and dial it in. But I think for a majority of people, they've just got to let the habit grow.
And how do you manage that alongside the schedule you've got? Because your schedule, I know your schedule is insane.
It can be. Yeah, it can be. I mean, listen, I've got 3 kids, married, 3 young kids, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 7-year-old. Yeah, my 7-year-old plays a lot of football, very, very busy with his football. He's at the stage now where we're like driving him around every night. Obviously, I've got work. I've got my own training. Like most days, I'm up at 6 a.m. I'll be at home half hour in the morning, let my wife get an opportunity for her to jump in the shower, get ready for her day. Then I'll slip off. I'll go to the gym before work. I like to do that because it's a different space to work. Plus, then it lets me focus on work. I could train at work and take an hour out in the day, but I like to get it done in the morning and then like to try and run later. I try to do 2 sessions twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. But yeah, it's just something you have to prioritize. Like I'm the same as loads of people. I get up in the morning some days and I feel like, my little boy at the minute, he's going through growing pains, yeah? So he's free, his legs hurt, he's just started doing a bit more nursery. He's tired, he's a bit aggy, don't really know why. He's a bit overtired and he doesn't settle. But I've got a 2-year-old as well, so my wife's tending to her. So then he might come into bed, he's kicking you, his feet are in your back. You don't get a nice night's sleep. You wake up, you look at the work, you're like, oh man, like I'm in the yellow, like my recovery's bad. But I'll just go. I'll just write, I've got to go today. And I'll just have that sort of understand that level of discipline that I'm going to go. But I'm intuitive enough into my own training where it's like, I have a plan as such, there's certain movements I adhere to, like they're like essential. I'll hit them lifts. It's like I'm a little bit more tired today. Do you know what? I'm not going to hit 5 by 5 if I'm doing that. I'm just going to go 3 times 8, or I might even just do 3 times 6 or 4 times 6, or I just can move the needle. But that's because I've got an understanding of where I am.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I don't put too much pressure in it. If I lift it, say it's 100k for 8 reps, and it's like, that I'm doing 6s or whatever today, I'm like, it's because I'm tired. Don't beat yourself up, and then just go again. And then it just unfolds, But that's me now, nearly knocking on 40's door with kids and that, opposed to a younger me that was, the appetite was completely different.
Yeah.
I still love my training, and like mentally for me, it's been a release. And training for me has been a real focus, because being able to go into the gym and just focus on my training, again, it's been crucial for me to stay mentally tough and strong, and know that amongst the chaos of my thoughts and trying to understand everything that's going on, and be supportive at work, and be a dad, and be a husband, and be the guy that I'm supposed to be seen to at work, I've got my own thing going on. And it might be an hour a day, but it's my hour a day, and it's what keeps me centered. and it lets me switch off and gives me time to think, and just makes me feel confident as well. There's nothing better than going in the gym, I think, and lifting weights and feeling strong. You can't beat it as a man. Do you know what I mean? Or a woman, but you feel great. It's empowering.
There's a mental side that people don't think about when it comes to training. Honestly, I always preach it. Like, I used to personal trainer, I don't do it no more, but I always tell people the mental side. People just underestimate how important the mental side is of just training, running, whatever it is. Just that hour and a half, however long you need, is so important.
It's honestly massive. Like the mental side of it, of just training and having a little bit of accountability for yourself, is huge. Like, we live in a world which is so fast paced, and everything you do, you know, you turn on your phone, it's like you can just compare all the time. Like, you could be flying in life, but you'll go on social media, you'll find someone that's doing a little bit better or whatever, but to really center yourself with your own goals, training, is nothing better, and it's completely self-motivated, really. All right, you might have a trainer or whatever, but that development and the understanding of you're going to commit to that, and that's your journey, is great. You know what I mean? I know everyone has their careers, and I'm not, you know, that's great in its own sense, but like, training mentally, for me, for my whole life, and I said that at the beginning, as a young man, as a kid, you know, tough times, you know, single parent family, mum worked every hour under the sun, grew up in, you know, a poorer part of where I lived. It was a tougher neighbourhood, if you like sport and going out, it was like, got me through. Like, I loved it, and it still does as an adult. It serves me as that tool. Do you know what I mean? It's something that's, well, it's become my profession, but it's also kept me going through a lot of tough moments. And I think it does for a lot of people. Like, you go around gyms, a lot of people you meet are actually broken.
I was about to say that as well. Yeah.
A lot of guys you meet are like broken. They're dealing with some sort of issue.
Yeah.
And like, it's so easy to judge, and we get caught up like on aesthetic result all the time. Like, aesthetic result, like judging on a face out. But like, any guy, especially as you get older in life and you've got a family and stuff, like, and you're getting up in the morning and finding the time to train and do something for yourself, you know, is only going to impact all those around you. Like, you've got to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And it's like really important to do that. And the gym gives you that space, mentally gives you that, breeds that mindset. Do you know what I mean? That you're strong, you're goal focused, you can do that. But I've met loads of people in gyms along the way that are dealing with something. And the gym has been their release, their comfort blanket. Not just the gym, but the characters they meet in the gym as well, the community, the people they identify with. And, you know, we can brand it up, oh, your gym, like, meathead, rah, rah, rah. Like, don't get me wrong, no one's perfect in any aspect of life, and we get characters wherever we go, you know, it's just life. But a lot of people inside gyms, you know, that community is, even if they're not talking. I've been in gyms where there's older people that are very lonely, that go to the gym in the morning, they train, and they just be like being around others. And it can be people of different age set, different demographic, different cultural background, and it's just nice. They're all there for the same thing, and they can just be around people and not feel as lonely. And it's like, it's really important. Like, COVID showed that. The gyms were, you know, when they opened them first, didn't they? Like, they were flooded.
And sometimes just a head nod. Like, I've seen people that have been going through stuff, and just give someone a head nod, and that just, you see the smile on their face.
Mate, it's incredible. And you don't realise when you're in a position, when you're in the gym and you look like someone who knows how to train, or you're someone who, like, from afar, guys are watching, there's always someone watching you. Well, I was a young man once in a gym, and I'll be looking at that guy thinking, he's strong, he knows how to train, I want to go and talk to him or pick his brain, do you know what I mean? And then when they come over to you eventually and give you a nod, or you start talking, you're gassed. Like, it's great. It's a great empowering feeling. You know what I mean? And that still goes on in gyms all the time. And I, like, anyone who might watch this, do you know what I mean? Go and talk to that guy. Say, listen, like, can you give me some like, most of the time, most people will give you a bit of love, you know what I mean? The older guys in the gym will be like, yeah, listen, strip it back, do this, bit of advice, but it goes a long way. Like, don't be young enough and arrogant enough to think you know it all. And if you're old enough, don't be sport enough or, like, you know, blunt and ignore someone that's asking for advice, you know what I mean? And gyms, I think that's why they're spitting sawdust gyms, and I know we both like training them sort of gyms, if you like, more than the corporate gyms. like that's what you enjoy about them, because it's that type of person, and it's that real sort of everyday person, like working class, normal guys that you know, people that you're around, and it goes a long way. It is a great community. It is a great community.
And you can imply that insight just into life in general, just sometimes going to talk to someone. That's exactly how you get into the media space from my point of view, and even talking to someone like you. How's your life sort of, I want to say, changed in a way since working with Matchroom, like from the...
It's a funny one because it gives you a lot of recognition, because obviously Matchroom are absolutely huge and everything they do, and they continue to push the boundaries, you know. It's an unbelievable company to work for. Very blessed to be a part of, and it has changed my life. It's amazing to be around so many individuals, not just your Eddie Hearns and your Frank Smiths and the guys that are more well known. Most of the staff there have all got a great outlook. They're all forward thinking, and Matchroom is fast paced because it's like done onto the next one, done onto the next one, and it's like that. But it's great. It's motivating, and it's been like that for myself. And it's a high standard. You want to be recognised by your peers, and you learn, like we've spoke again off camera a minute ago, there's some guys there that are absolute beasts. Like, they are relentless. Like, they give their life to the company in a sense of they do not stop, and they're always pushing the boundaries, and I love that at Matchroom. We spoke about the media side of it, and you've seen some of the promos going out for like Ben Whitaker and stuff, and like that stuff was filmed, shot, edited, done, out. Like, I was in the office on the Thursday night with Eddie training, and I managed to get the cameo in the Ben Whitaker one. And literally, Alex Haynes is like one of our creative genius, we call him at Matchroom. He was there on site filming, and he was like, I've got an idea. And then he just filmed me doing some bicep curls. You got Phil, our driver, putting his head around the door. And obviously when Eddie's in the room, and then you can see us sort of like looking around, and just got sketched into it. But it's like, that's what it's like there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm there at 9:30 at night training Eddie, bang, we're filming. Next minute I'm in a cameo on the Monday, but then it's like right on to the next one. And then these guys are just pushing the boundaries all the time. So it's infectious to be around. Sometimes you can get swapped up in it because you feel like you're not on the train. But you got to dust yourself off and just get back on the train and try and give the best that you can. Like, when my brother passed, I did it a bit of a few months ago. I was a bit lost, you know. I was a bit got into that negative mind space. But when I went back to work, the team were fantastic. All the people were super understanding, but almost not like you want to forget what's happened, but where it's just constant, it's like, right, let's go. And it's infectious to be around, you know what I mean? And you get recognised. You know, people think you're a bit special because you work there. Like, it's funny when I take my son to football, like some of the dads will be like, oh, you work for Eddie Hearn. Do you know what I mean? You get that a lot. And he's become so well known and respected by most, you know, for how relentless he is and how successful he is as a businessman. So it's nice to be a part of that journey, really, to be honest.
And I feel like sometimes you got to take that time out as well to really accept what you've done in the company as well. I don't know if I know you're kind of like pushing everyone else, but like what Kai's done. I know sometimes it's hard to take in your own sort of accomplishments, but I think it's important.
I think for me, it's still a lot I want to do. I mean, we come in, you know, there was a gym there, but it was just like a knackered old room, really. We worked with some of the team, managed to partner with Everlast. They helped to support us build a new gym on site. We spoke about the recovery stuff. The classes have been super successful, the nutrition side of it. So yeah, I've brought that element in, and it has worked. Like, it has worked. I think for me, there's just so much more that I would like to give.
No, of course.
And it takes time. There is a bit of politics to it, some of it. Not terrible, but you know, it's still a place of work. Like, as much as it's a perk, it's still a place of work. It can't be a gym, like a fully fledged gym, or like a spa. We've got that element, but at the same time, I can't get too carried away. People are still there to do a job. They can't just come train with me all day, eat nice food, have a massage, or like, I can't turn it that far. But I suppose, like with Eddie, I really want to support him and get him, you know, as in as best shape as possible, and that's ongoing all the time, mentally as well. Him understanding, educating himself on what's right and what's wrong, and how to make the right choices. But even for my own standards, you know, I realise I'm 40 this year, but I also sometimes think, you know, I could push on a little bit more in terms of what I can offer myself and physique. Well, I suppose that's what gets you up in the morning, keeps you going. It is though, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're the things that just keep you getting you up in the morning, keep you going. And I would say Matchroom it's a lot of it, as much as people like to take glory for stuff themselves, it's always sort of like a team effort, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, you need, Eddie is always sort of supportive of the ideas, and Frank and others like Barry. You know, I'm really blessed to get a few sessions with Barry a week.
I can imagine, yeah.
Legend, like absolute legend, and not just saying that, like unbelievable guy to be around. Like just I've worked with a lot of high-end people. I've never worked with someone like that. Like even the fact that he still comes to the gym, he's 77 and he's incredible to be around. Like a great guy. He's got a really positive impact, but it's like, that's what I mean. Matchroom is like everyone's always trying to push it, but it's a team effort as well, you know. So it's good. It's a great place to be, and I do think there's still more we can do on the fitness, wellness side of it. Definitely.
You want to touch on some of them ideas, or you keep them to yourself? Some of the just the long term.
I think there's a lot of work. There is a lot of work to be done. I think we can look at maybe offering a little bit more in terms of. It's a difficult one, but how to educate people a little bit more in terms of like things we've spoke about. How to monitor sleep, how to prioritise sleep, how to prioritise recovery, and like the mental side. Like I'm not qualified, I'm not a psychologist, you know, I'm just someone that's trained a lot of people, listened to a lot of stories, and you learn a lot, yeah? That's what you do as a personal trainer. You're a bit like a priest, you know. People just start opening. I think if you're a good personal trainer, as much as you're there and you're getting people to execute what they're there to execute in terms of exercise, they also end up trusting you, and when they trust you, you hear a lot of stuff. So you learn a lot about people and people's psyche, and you do learn a lot about that side, mental aspect. But I'd like to work more on the mental aspect and high performance and what gets people ticking and what keeps people dialed in. But not just for Matchroom staff, for myself. Because I think we live in a world now where narratives are spun all the time. I think social media is a blessing, but it's also a bit of a curse, if I'm absolutely honest. And I think we're seeing that at the moment politically. There's so much division and so much opinion. And then we just live in an era which is full of misinformation. Years ago, you'd go and read a book, or you'd go and study a subject, or you'd listen to the expert in that subject. Now everyone's an expert in every subject, or believed to be. And that's not discrediting anyone, and I don't want to look like I'm singling out any events that are going on right now, but it's hard because whenever you have an opinion, someone else has a space now. Even off this interview, they could write in the comments saying, "Oh yeah, but that da 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 da." Like you're always going to get it. You're always going to get it because of people's beliefs, and we've got a society now where it's easy to vent in beliefs. So mentally, what I'm saying is people are being affected all the time without realising it because they pick up this phone and you might have not even thought of a certain narrative, or you might not even had a problem with a certain situation, whatever that is. But suddenly you've got access to someone else's opinion. If you look at it long enough, then you start to drink the Kool-Aid, if you like. And I think we all get distracted with narrative, whatever that is. And we're also in an era of worship in a way where, you know, we worship certain idols for not a lot of reason either. To be quite honest, it's become a bit like that. You know, you see your favourite people on Instagram or whatever it is, and you got to be careful to differentiate between a bit of fun, you know, listening, and then it becoming like idol. And I think we're in an era where, again, that affects mental health. And again, we're in an era where people are working very hard to better themselves, but you're always going to find someone better. You're always going to find someone with more money, with more muscles, who outperforms you, runs faster than you, lifts heavier than you, a girl that looks nicer than your girl, a guy that looks better than you. Social media does that, and I think it's getting people to not take it too seriously, which is hard. We all suffer from it. We all suffer from it.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
And we never used to have that. You know, I'm one of the last. I'm not like ancient or nothing, but you know, I grew up in an era like into my teens where that didn't really exist. So you didn't have to deal with that. You might know the local kid or someone in your football team or someone, etc., that was better than you, but it was like healthy competition. Now it's gone way beyond that.
Yeah.
It's gone way beyond that. It's gone way beyond healthy competition. It's got to a place where people doubt their own abilities based off someone else. Yeah, but at the same time, you can flip the coin. It is inspiring.
Yeah.
Like to see athletes doing what they do, the Ronaldos at 40, AJs, you're getting insight into their training and what they're doing. It's inspiring. That's what gets you up and get you going. But it's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it toys with our emotions and our subconscious all the time, I think. And I think for younger children coming into the world and growing into adolescence is really scary, really, where that's going to end up. And that's going a bit off subject, but
no, but it's perception as well. I think it's how people take in that information. If you see it from one side of the coin, it's inspiring, but you see the other side of the coin, it could be quite toxic and like, I need to comparison to FIFA Joy, essentially. So it's just managing that fine line. And even like you now taking the time out to do this interview, there's a load of other different things that you could potentially be doing, but also you're given the time out to kind of give information, insight into your career and everything like that. So obviously we touched on a little bit about what you're looking to do future plans wise. But what would you say your key accomplishments are working in Matchroom so far?
Key accomplishments. I think what I've done at the office so far has been great in terms of designing, setting the gym up with the team there and getting that fitted out. The classes have been super successful, and just having that, basically being able to touch so many people there and beyond, really, hopefully. People look at Eddie as someone of inspiration, following his journey, etc. And I think the documentary, as much as it was very small elements of that, it showed that it's a massive fundamental. Like even Emily Fraser and her PT in there, which was great, by the way, because it's great that she's got a female PT, and that might be a preference or someone that she identifies for different reasons, like Eddie identifies with me. And I think, again, that's really important for personal, you've got to pick someone that's personal to you. So yeah, being at Matchroom, definitely all of the things, putting a decent, like good food in, nutrition in place. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always levels you can go, but it's been great, educating people there, just being accepted there and really building value. And that's what I just want to continue doing, is just being someone of value, someone that people value having around and enjoy training with and find some resilience in a sense that they can build on, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Further themselves. And it's not, for me, it's not all aesthetic. It's about these people becoming a bit more resilient, pushing themselves, realising they got a little bit more. It doesn't need to be loads, but it's a little bit more. It sets their self up for a better day. It's doing things they didn't realise they could do before. And I've seen that across the business. And for me, that's fantastic. Even, Barry was trained years ago. He didn't do it so much. Now he's coming down to the gym more. Like for him, that's precious. So being able to just give that back to people and sort of like, not bulletproof people, but just strengthen people's ability and belief is fantastic. And that's what I enjoy doing. I do in generally, that's one of the big things. Personal training or being a trainer in general, you get your hardcore guys that will just jump on performance, stats, and they want to show off like certain clients they work with like a shiny trophy. But it's not all about that. Sometimes, working with the most modest people and getting them from a state of no confidence, no understanding, no belief to confidence, understanding and belief is much harder than polishing something that's very able. Like I said before, when you've got an athlete that is so willing, that has got drive, that has got athletic ability, when you're showing them stuff, you're offering them a little bit more. When you've got someone who's suffers with confidence, can't even really make eye contact, has no belief, comes from maybe a culture or family where no one trains, and it's not part of their DNA, it's something they don't resonate with, it's not something they've adopted from their father or someone in the family or a culture of sport, to then them trusting in you, then training, then understanding that this training is beneficial, then realising that it wants to be part of their journey, then feeling more confident and almost that butterfly moment where their wings come out, they're a little bit proud of what they do. is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's so undervalued in the personal training world.
Yeah.
And going back to what we were saying before, is so many people, I want to train the higher performance, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's a beautiful feeling. You know, you get someone who's like 40, 50 years old, they've never really trained.
Yeah.
They don't really understand what they're doing or why they're doing it, to suddenly then keep knocking at your door because they want more and more and more, because they feel confident, feel stronger, feel more functional, and understand it, and you've empowered that, is an amazing feeling. It's much, you know, the glitz and the glamour is training high-end athletes. If I'm honest, I'm not knocking anyone for it, because I love doing it, and I think it's amazing. But you know, that is sort of the pinnacle. But really empowering people that are a little bit lost is an amazing feeling. And I think I've done that at Matchroom. Yeah. We all focus on the Eddie and X, Y, Z, or work I did with Connor or whatever. But there's people in that building that, until I stepped in that building, most people have no appetite to train or whatever. And now they're part of a community. They do a class every week. They've come on leaps and bounds. They're training in a way they never thought was possible, or maybe not even ever thought about. Do you know what I mean? It weren't even on it. It weren't even in their peripheral. Like, they never even thought I could do that, and now they're doing it, and then that's empowering. Yeah. That is massively empowering, and I think, you know, for Matchroom to have that is huge. Yeah. I don't even know if they look at it as much like that. Do you know what I mean?
I'm gonna ask some people when I do interviews with people from Matchroom and figure out if they even see it like that.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are like that, not unsung heroes, but accounts and stuff that you won't even see in the Netflix documentary, like real behind the scenes. And like, some of them people, I love working with them, because especially in the classes, I'll watch their performances, and sometimes after the class when everyone's gone, I'll go, like, just keep at it. Like, there's a few real shy ones there, and honestly, they have transformed. Do you know what I mean? Like, they come in, couldn't even do a sit-up, couldn't even do a lunge. Now they're adding weight, you know, the movement's clean, they're confident to take on the next exercise. And it's like, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Like, for me, that's a result. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because you're taking someone who's nowhere near scratch and then transformed. 100%. And I think that's a mark of a good trainer as well. I'm not just trying to blow my own trumpet on it, but it's
about time you did.
we move into a space, you know, especially in personal training, where it's, again, the highlight reel of Instagram. It's like, oh, you want to show the biggest plyometric jump, or you want to show the guy lifting the most weight. Like, that's easy. Show me someone that is borderline no confidence, no eye contact, can't talk, hasn't got a Scooby about training, and educate them, take them from scratch, get them to a place where they train on their own. They feel confident going into a gym. A year down the line, they're still doing it, and they're doing it without you, because you've educated them. That's quality. That's real stuff. Do you know what I mean? And that's something I feel like I've done before Matchroom, and over the years, and something I've seen many clients that I don't train anymore, that are in a really healthy spot, that are still training in the gym, and when they first come in, they didn't know the name of an exercise, they didn't know about programs, they didn't know about anything, you know. So it's the fact that, and some of them have gone into fitness in some form of capacity. Do you know what I mean? See, that's even great, you know, even better. Like, so that's the great thing, really, and that's, for me, I'll be honest, that's what I love doing.
Do you know what? You've given me an idea. We'll discuss it off camera as well, how we can make it work logistically. But I'd love to capture some of the journey that you've got with some of the stuff. Obviously, we'd have to discuss it with how that works. But I feel like that would be interesting, like a testimonial of.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you know what? Like, even saying it there, talking out loud myself, like, some people I don't even think realise, you know. Yeah. Some people I don't think I give enough praise to. Like, when I do the class, like, I can be quite hard, but it's like they're levelling up all the time. Like, they don't even notice it. Like, I might put out extra weight. They don't even know. They're just picking it up, you know. Like, I'll make the classes harder and stuff. And some of them have really, like, in the short time, the time that I've been there, I've really, really pushed on. But yeah, I would like to do more. I would like to offer more. There is ideas. I talked to Frank a bit about it with Eddie, and I think it will evolve. I think things will evolve, and I think definitely for other companies looking in, they could learn a lot, because it definitely makes people more productive. It makes people gives them another lease of life in terms of the office, more energy, and just a better outlook on life. Longevity, like, that's what it's all about now, really, isn't it? Like, when you said earlier about personal training, back in the day, everyone used to come in for aesthetics, really. Yeah. And like, people have stopped. They still want a healthier change, but there is that understanding now, which is great, really, that society realised that it's a long game as well. Yeah. It's longevity. Like, how can we support, I want to live a little bit longer. I want to enjoy my grandchildren. I want to do whatever it is, you know what I mean? Yeah. I want to be healthier. It's the same with like drinking culture and stuff, like, it's really changed. Yeah. Like smoking and all them sort of things. So it's good. It's good that it's moving in that direction. Yeah.
Yeah. What does a day in the life of Kai look like?
Like I said, every morning up early, 6 a.m, which is not early. I used to start my first client at 6 a.m. So being at Matchroom is actually a little bit better, a bit of a lie-in. So I'll get up in the morning, get downstairs. My wife will jump in the shower. I'll make the kids breakfast, get them ready, make myself something to eat, eggs on a bit of sourdough or something like that. Out the door, hit the gym 7:15, do an hour of strength, protein shake, straight to the office. Usually train someone first thing in the morning, sort of 8:30, 9 o'clock. Then I might do somebody else. I'll hit some emails, always get back to a few people, especially since Netflix, they've not stopped. Jump on a few emails, get through a load of LinkedIn messages, try and get through back to a few people. Then I'll set up for a class, do a midday class, come out of the class, have something to eat, protein shake, whatever, and then run the afternoon clients. And then sometimes I get involved with little, like, as I've been at Matchroom longer now, I start to get involved in a few other little bits and pieces, helping hopefully with building maybe a partnership here or there in my sort of space, and help on that. And sometimes I might go out in the afternoon and we go for a run, a few of us, some of the team will go out for a run, stuff like that. And then after work, yes, you know, I might do a run in the evening at work on the treadmill or outside if I haven't been with people. And then yes, usually I'll drive home, pick my son up. He usually has football every night, so I'll take him to football. Might be local, might be further away, get in at sort of 8 o'clock at night, kids to bed, bit of dinner, yogurt, fruit, maybe jump on my phone for a little bit, catch up with a few messages, in bed by sort of 10 o'clock, 10:30. If the kids have not been up all night, blessing, we'll go again, that's it. And then obviously you got bits and pieces going on at work, like we're in Sheffield, might have a fight week, might have something else. So yeah, that's it really.
Did the fight week change much for your schedule at all?
Yeah, so on a fight week, so again, we touched on, obviously I work across Matchroom, so, but I am aligned with boxing. So when a fight week comes along, especially in the UK, I'll usually come help train staff that are here, especially align with Frank already, whoever's doing the show, and then the Fight Day 5K. So the Fight Day 5K on the Friday, get ready for that. Saturday morning, we do the Fight Day 5K, which again has been such a success. That's another thing that I've heavily been involved in, to be fair, since I've come on with Alex, the girl, head of community, who's unbelievable guy, does an unbelievable job, but you know, we've really progressed it from where it was. And you're starting to see that with the numbers now.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's become really successful, you know, on board in the system in terms of the way we make the experience. We've sort of got a system now and a pattern that works, you know, and people are engaging more, and we see the sign-ups and stuff doing really, really well. We try and activate with local run clubs and get them involved, and local boxing clubs and community. That's a real success. That's been a real success. And again, there's things that me and Alex want to do with that to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, the biggest one we did was Conor Ben last year. I think it was like 500 people.
Oh, I saw the picture of that. That was huge.
Yeah, and we'd like to try and surpass that this year. But Everlast drive that as well. They're fantastic in that space. Obviously supporting Conor, Michael Murray and Conor Snowball and Mark Parrott, them guys, they really love that idea and that space where we can get everybody involved and make a real optic statement, really, of how many people support that fight. So yeah, and just great to be in the community. They're great, them runs, for people to come down and meet Eddie and meet other boxers. The young guys just absolutely love it, especially when you come to towns like this, like Sheffield, places up north. Like they're a good few hours away from South East, and their chances of seeing Eddie on the street are pretty like low, aren't they? So not like us in Brentwood. So it's like if they get to meet him or Frank or whatever, it's great. Do you know what I mean? And I've started to notice I've become a little bit more popular on them now. They're starting to recognise me, and you catch up, you meet people. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Have you always enjoyed boxing?
So boxing is like, I had a lot of friends who boxed when I was younger. I used to get in boxing gyms when I was younger. We used to have a boxing gym near me. I always had friends that fought, a few guys. One of my good friends growing up, he went to the ABAs, he went to the championships, and one of my other friends, was a good boxer, turned pro, unfortunately couldn't hold his license because of a health issue. But yeah, it's always been around. Like, I think when you come from a bit of a working class area, it's like boxing is just in the DNA. So I've always liked boxing, always liked it. Always loved the sport, studied the sport, watched it. You know, I remember being younger, you know, the Tyson era, Frank Bruno, Eubank, and you know, Ben, and watching that ITV back then, and etc. So yeah, I think it's just part of your childhood, and it's just something I've enjoyed. So to be part of it now is pretty surreal, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I watched Eddie on screen and these guys before I got to work with them, but I always knew of Eddie because I grew up around the same sort of area.
Yeah.
So it weren't too foreign to me, like to see him or see them about, them guys. And I knew a few people sort of in them circles. We sort of know a lot of the same people, even though he's a bit older than me. But yeah, I've always loved boxing. I used to love training for it when I was younger as well. It was great, it was tough.
It's tough.
Yeah, you used to get there, they used to run us around the field over and over again, then you come in, you do your circuits and like floor work and press up, body weight stuff, like it was hardcore. And then you used to jump in there and spar and body spar. Yeah, I used to love it, yeah. But I never did any bouts or got that serious with it. Like I said, I was always sort of a football man. Still love my football. Like if you talk to me, I'll talk the ears off you on football. I love it, yeah.
Not West Ham.
Well, yeah, I love football. Love watching football. Like, I love the fact that my son's into football. Like, it's just a nice passion. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. But what I'll do, I'll wrap it up because I know you got to train Frank Smith now.
Yeah, I've got big Frank the Tank. Yeah.
Big Frank the Tank.
Big Frank the Tank.
But I do appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. Thank you, mate.
Man,
Nice
really
one.
appreciate it.
Nice one.